It's time to break out the old nun costume and dust off your rubber suits because Amercian Horror Story is back. As the show launches into its 9th season of spine-tingling slasher movie spookiness, we thought that we'd take a few moments to count down some of the craziest things about AHS that you might never have known, both on screen and off. Let's go back all the way to 2011, when the show hit our screens for the first time and life as we knew it ceased to exist. Okay, so maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it was absolutely one of the craziest things we'd ever seen on TV, and it introduced a whole new generation to the genius of Jessica Lange. But you might have been too blown away by the overall creepiness of the AHS plot that you actually missed a few amazing details, like the fact that they totally foreshadowed the demonic twin pregnancy that would happen later in the series in the very first episode. Remember those redheaded twins who ghosted around the house causing mayhem? Well, there's a very clear shot of them appearing from right behind Vivian, almost like they appear from within her. Now that we're into 9 seasons of this incredibly detailed show, we know that Ryan Murphy doesn't do anything by accident, so there is no way that that particular shot was just in there to be creepy. When the Harmon family first pulled up to what would eventually become affectionately known as Murder House, it might have seemed familiar to you, almost like you'd seen it before. The house is actually a very famous Los Angeles landmark known as the Alfred Rosenheim Mansion, and Amercian Horror Story was definitely not the first and won't be the last show to film there. Construction on the house was started in 1902 and took 5 years to complete, residing on a street that was humbly referred to as Billionaire Row. Because of its lavish and somewhat haunting beauty, the house has been featured in tons of movies and TV shows. Most notably, the episode Fear Itself of Buffy the Vampire Slayer used the mansion as a frat house when the gang attended a Halloween party. Each season of Amercian Horror Story has walked the fine line between complete originality and paying homage to the genre. But what you might not know is just how deep his love for the horror genre goes and how much it has influenced each season of the show. Take, for instance, Tate's character in Season 1. Remember the incredibly chilling scene where we see Tate walking down his school hallway in skull makeup, whistling a very familiar tune? Well, you might have recognized that tune as it was made famous by Kill Bill. But its origin is a bit older than that. It first appeared in a movie called Twisted Nerve, a British thriller from 1968. It follows a murderous young man with an overbearing mother and a sister with Down syndrome, as he becomes obsessed with a girl who tries to save him from himself. Sound like anybody you know? Perhaps an angsty blonde teenage ghost who made Evan Peters a household name? Tate's character isn't the only reference to an older film or television show to make its way onto Amercian Horror Story. In fact, it's packed with them. There's actually way too many to name, but we'll rattle off a few from just Season 1 right now. To start off, we have the creepy twins in the hallway and the deceptively attractive maid who can reveal her true self at just the worst possible moments, like that bathtub lady who still haunts our dreams from The Shining, the girls who bully Violet in school, and the subplot where Tate gets way too excited about exacting revenge on them is a pretty clear reference to the 1980s cult classic Heathers. There is a ton of likenesses to the highly underrated horror thriller The Others, from plot points to creepy moments. The inspiration for Vivian's birth scene came from a movie that is subtly titled Demon Seed. And then there's the biggest one of them all, Rosemary's Baby. It is impossible to ignore the countless ways that Rosemary's Baby inspired pretty much all of this season. Much of Amercian Horror Story has been pulled from real life, which somehow makes the whole thing even more terrifying. In Season 1, we have the tragic Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia. The doctor who lives in the basement is based off of Walter Bailey, a suspect in the Black Dahlia case as well. And the plot involving the tragic fates of the 3 nurses is based on real events. Season 2 also features the tragic story of an adult woman who claims to be Anne Frank, and the terrible Dr. Arden is based off a real-life monster and walking nightmare, Joseph Mengele. There are also some who think that Dr. Oliver Thredson, also from Asylum, might be based off of Ed Gein, mostly because of, well, everything about him. To start off with, Kathy Bates' Madame Delphine Lalaurie was a real woman who was famous for doing all of the horrifying things we see her do in the show to to real human beings in the 1800s. Angela Bassett's Marie Laveau was also a real figure, respected as a wise woman and practitioner of voodoo magic in New Orleans. Also in this season is the Axeman, based off of a real-life axe-wielding dude who was known as the Cleaver. And because we just can't go on and on about real-life people who have appeared in AHS, let's just say that pretty much everyone in the season Freak Show was based off of reality. There are so many instances of overbearing moms or sons obsessed with their moms, moms with demon babies, or just a bunch of weird mom stuff going on in American Horror Story that we didn't really realize until we started tallying it all up. There's Constance's neglect in season 1, Dr. Thredson's whole slew of unresolved feelings about his mom in Asylum, Cordelia's relationship with her mom in Coven, and the whole Supreme thing is a pretty spot-on metaphor too if you think about it. Betty and Dot have problems with their mom in season 4, plus the Mott family and their messed up dynamics. Hotel has Iris and the Countess and her secret baby. In Renoki, Lee Harris winds up hurting her children. And Kai has parental issues too in Cult. While we all know that Angela Bassett isn't actually a voodoo priestess, or is she in real life, she seems to have something up her sleeve because the woman has not aged since, well, ever. So much so that she and Cuba Gooding Jr. have actually crossed paths in a movie long before their time together in American Horror Story. That's right, Bassett actually played Cuba's mom in 1991's Boys in the Hood, and then 25 years later played his sister in season 6 of American Horror Story. Now, either that says a lot about how Hollywood casts women, she is only 10 years older than Cuba, or it simply speaks to how timeless this woman is. American Horror Story Freak Show introduced the world to scores of people from all walks of life, and one of the most memorable was Ma Petit, played by Jyoti Amge. While her appearance in Freak Show might have been the first time that she was introduced to American audiences, she has actually been very famous in her own right for a lot longer. The 19-year-old actress holds the Guinness World Record for the world's smallest woman, and is actually considered a deity in India where she's from. The opening credits for American Horror Story are some of the most immediately recognizable in all of television. That creepy, droning, clickety-clackety beginning with the sudden bass that always makes our hearts jump into our collective throats, combined with some of the most hauntingly disturbing images, really lets you know right off the bat that something wicked this way comes. It might not surprise you to learn that those images were created by the same darkly genius mind who developed the opening credits for none other than The Walking Dead, Kyle Cooper. If you look at them side by side, you can see the similarities in his use of gritty, muted colors, evocative images, and an overall sense of dread that really tells the viewer just what they're in for. The recurring cast of American Horror Story have really landed what must be a dream job in Hollywood. Take Denis OHare, for instance. He's appeared in 4 seasons of the show with an entirely new challenge each time, but possibly his most difficult role to date was that of the mute butler Spaulding in Coven. The role was so demanding that OHare actually refused to speak on set in order to stay in character. Denis OHare wasn't the only one who had to fully commit to their role in order to make it believable. Even a certified legend and seasoned pro like Kathy Bates couldn't slip in and out of one of her American Horror Story characters all that easily. In Freak Show, Kathy reportedly had to maintain her difficult, period-specific Baltimore accent at all times in order to do it while the cameras were rolling. While she has mastered many accents in her long career, and a handful of them on American Horror Story, she claims that this was one of the most difficult and required total commitment at all times. While he was generally known as being a singer, dancer, and a lighthearted comedic actor, Neil Patrick Harris has occasionally dipped his toe into slightly darker material. There were rumors that the actor would make an appearance in the American Horror Story universe, until finally he made his debut in Freak Show as Chester Krebs. But what you might not know is that Harris and his husband David Burtka were actually supposed to appear as Patrick and Chad, the ghostly couple who couldn't stop arguing in season 1. But because they had just played a very similar couple in a very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas, they did not want to spark rumors that their real-life marriage was in trouble. The roles instead went to the awesome Zachary Quinto and Teddy Sears. Sometimes in American Horror Story, it's not just the people who are based in reality, but the places are too. The worst of all of them has gotta be the asylum Briarcliff Manor from season 2. This dismal institution was based off of a famed asylum that actually existed in the United States called Willowbrook State School. the school, ran from 1947 until as late as 1987, even after an expose on its conditions was released in the 1970s. Much of the events of the second season of American Horror Story revolve around actual events that took place at Willowbrook. American Horror Story has never shied away from using some CGI to get its message across from time to time, but Ryan Murphy and crew really do prefer to do things as practically as possible. They have an incredible makeup and special effects team who bring these worlds to life, like when they had James Cromwell's son come in and play the younger version of his father's character Hans Gruber for a couple of flashbacks during season 2. No fancy de-aging technology here, just a good old-fashioned and seriously uncanny family resemblance, and a little bit of movie magic was made. Sometimes the makeup on American Horror Story is just too good, and in the case of one instance, it almost got one of the stars of the show kicked off of set. Naomi Grossman dedicated herself to over 3 hours of intense makeup in order to take on the role of the beloved Pepper in Freak Show, and was so completely transformed that she was unrecognizable out of costume. A couple of confused security personnel saw the actress out of makeup and actually removed her from set. With so many actors coming in and out of the American Horror Story universe, it's safe to say that there are going to be some who have worked together before, or have at least crossed paths. In the episode in which Tate is confronted by the ghosts of the teenagers he took the lives of years before, one of them is a brunette cheerleader, Chloe. What you might not know is that the actress who played Chloe is Ashley Rickards, who actually played a girlfriend of Evan Peters on the teen soap One Tree Hill. While the trope of a scary clown has appeared in tons and tons of movies and television over the years, there is one group who are particularly unhappy about it: professional clowns. A group called the Clowns of America International were so displeased by the character of Twisty in season 4 of American Horror Story that they actually protested his depiction of their livelihood. They claimed that his characterization as a seriously disturbing and murderous clown would prove damaging to their overall image of clowns. One of her most iconic moments from the series has got to be the moment when Lady Gaga and Kathy Bates first cross paths. Gaga's character is sitting on her bed next to a comatose Matt Bomer, and when Kathy Bates asks who she is, she responds with, "Your boy has a jawline for days." According to Ryan Murphy, she improvised that line on the last take, and everyone loved it so much that it was kept in the final edit. Zachary Quinto has played some amazing roles on American Horror Story, from miserable ghost to trusted doctor turned terrifying repurposer of human skin. But what you might not know about the actor is that he also took it upon himself to lighten the often grim atmosphere on set by entertaining the cast and crew with his banjo. While he claims that his playing was beloved by the cast and crew, we wonder if his co-stars would say the same thing if pressed about it. The Rubber Man from season 1 is definitely one of the scariest characters to ever wander around the American Horror Story universe. While we eventually find out that he's Tate in disguise, there's just something so unsettling about the way he lurks around corners, but it might take a little bit of the terror out of the situation if you picture the fact that Evan Peters had to be lubed up from head to toe in order to wriggle into that PVC suit every day on set. Say what you will about Chloe Sevigny, but the actress has never been one to shy away from a challenging role. In season 2 of American Horror Story, she played an inmate of the asylum named Shelley. Perhaps that's why the actress was quoted as saying that she wasn't so fond of her hotel character, Dr. Alex Lowe. Of course, she did not claim that the character was poorly developed or inherently bad, simply that she was too vanilla for the risk-taker's liking. Which makes sense, seeing as the last time she was on the show, she was able to explore just about every dark twist and turn you can think of. It's also not surprising that fan favorite and resident of American Horror Story, Jessica Lange, needed a little break after 4 grueling seasons of the show. Not only does the show shoot for 6 intense months, but she's had to go to some of the darkest places in her turn on the show. From Constance Langdon in season 1, to Sister Jude in season 2, Supreme Fiona in season 3, and finally Elsa Mars in season 4, her roles have always been emotionally exhausting and tentpoles of the show. a fan came up with the idea that each season of the show represents one of the levels of hell from Dante's Inferno, such as Season 1 is Limbo, Season 2 is Fraud, Season 3 is Treachery, 4 is Greed, 5 is Gluttony, 6 is Wrath, and 7 is Heresy, 8 is Lust, and 9 will be Violence. Seeing as Season 9 is all about 1980s style slasher movies, this could be spot on. One of the biggest things that you might have missed in all of American Horror Story is that every season might just be connected. There have been a bunch of hidden clues throughout the series that link one season to the next. The Coven Witches came back after the apocalypse to become major players in Season 8. The residents of Murder House also rejoined the cast of AHS from one amazing episode literally titled Return to Murder House. And then we got to revisit the Hotel Cortez and its ghostly residents. In the finale of Cult, Lana Winters from Asylum came back once more after her earlier return in the Roanoke season. The list goes on, but what we know for sure is that all of American Horror Story is connected in one way or another. So there they are, 25 amazing details from American Horror Story that might have passed you by. What do you think about this list? Do you have any good ones that we have to know about? How excited are you to see how Season 9 plays out? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to ScreenRant to keep up with all of our latest videos.